Next question. BJJ question 1. BJJ Q1? I don't know.
It does mean question 1, yes.
There you go. What's the best ratio of drilling to sparring? And question 2 is, what do you do if you roll with someone new to jiu-jitsu and they're over-aggressive, like the beast took over and they want to hurt people? I don't think they really do, but the adrenaline rush takes experience to manage. What's a good approach on the mat to let them know that they're being reckless and wasting energy without sounding like a douche?
All right. So question 1, the ratio of drilling to sparring. I'm probably not the best person to ask this question because I like to roll.
Nobody's the best person to ask that question.
Maybe, but I like to roll, and I should probably drill more, but I like to roll. The rolling is the funnest thing. We were training yesterday, and we got done training yesterday, and we were sitting there, we were watching some other people train and stuff, and I was like, man, I just love jiu-jitsu. It's so fun. Will we do an hour of rounds? Yeah. And so I just got done, and I said, man, jiu-jitsu is so fun. It's so fun. And so I like to roll. And drilling is not as fun, right? When I said, we did rounds, that means we were just rolling. For those of you that don't train, well, first of all, go train. Go find a place to train. And by the way, all these people that ask me questions about if they should train or not, yes, you should train. Yeah. You got a million different reasons why you shouldn't train. Mm-hmm. Like, what was the one you just responded to somebody on social media that said, hey, what if the only option I have is a place where there's just white belts?
All white belts, even the instructor.
Even the instructor's a white belt. Is it worth it? Yes.
Yeah.
It's worth it. Go on YouTube. You can learn a billion different moves on YouTube and go start rolling with these other white belts, and you guys are all going to get better. And it doesn't matter what the belts are. So, whether you're that person or whether you're the person that says, hey, I can only make it once a week because I travel, go once a week then.
There you go.
If you're the person that says, hey, man, I got, this knee injury and I can only roll like one day before it gets too sore. Okay, roll one day. And you know what? If you can't, doesn't mean you have to. Every time you get on the mat, you don't have to go psycho, right? Which is what I guess we'll get to that question. But if you can't roll super hard, then just roll a little lighter and roll what you can. And we get guys, some of our really dedicated jiu-jitsu guys, they'll get hurt. They still come and train. Yep. Mm-hmm. They can't even roll, but they'll come in, hey, man, let me just work my whatever I can do. Let me work my arm lock. That's the one motion I can do, so I'm going to work that. And that's cool. So I think you should drill more. I think I should drill more, but I just like to roll so much. And I'll tell you, I think this does change a little as you get better because obviously a black belt doesn't need to drill as much as a white belt does because a white belt has a lot more moves to learn. Mm-hmm. But everybody should drill more. And I think if I was to say something like probably a third of the time you should be drilling, maybe. I'll tell you something else. You learn a new move, drill it until you're good at it. Then you won't need to drill it anymore. Yeah. And the other thing about drilling is, and drilling is awesome, drilling also, I could drill a move 15,000 times, drill only, and when I go to roll with somebody, I won't be able to do it. Yep. It doesn't mean you'll be able to do it. Yep. In fact, I still got to do it 100 more times live against another real active human before I can pull the move off. That's the way it works. Yep. Occasionally, there's a few moves that either they are that simple or you have a natural ability to do them. That does happen sometimes where, like, occasionally there's some moves that just make sense to me, right? And I've always, as soon as I learn them, I can do them. Yeah. That's rare. It's that happens 10% of the time. Most of the time, I learn something and I try it and I get stuffed, and then I got to try it again. And I got to make my own little adjustments to it, and then I got to do it again. Then that's the way jiu-jitsu works. Mm-hmm. So drill a bunch. All right. Question 2. Someone that is going level 7 psychopath on the mats.
Is 7 the highest level? 10, right?
I guess.
But 7 is still pretty
We're
high.
Not 100% sure what the highest level is. I don't think it's been seen yet.
It's not level 1. That's
it's definitely not level 1. This guy is above normal psycho level. I'll say this, well above normal psycho level. So, first of all, if you're a higher belt, you just shut them down, right? You just shut them down, smother them. I like to, if I get someone that's going really super crazy, I will immobilize them to where they cannot move. And I will let the rage drain out of them. I'll just let it drain out of them. And I'll, just let the rage drain out. And then I'll submit them. And then I'll submit them again. And I'll just do that over and over again. And then I'll probably just, have a little chat with them. Like, hey, man, you just relax a little bit. Because all that going crazy is not helping you get better at what we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you tell somebody to relax, you tell them don't use strength. Of course, those are the things that no one can actually apply, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very seldom can someone say, I can say, hey man, just relax. And they go, oh, okay, cool. And you have a nice roll. No, it doesn't happen. They go even harder.
Yeah. Well.
So that's what you're going to do. You eventually just keep wearing them down and say, hey man, I'm telling you got to relax. You're not going to see as much if you're so going psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Now, so that's if you're a higher belt. That's what I do. Control them, put them, force them to accept their fate, and that will help them move down the path towards relaxation. Now, if you're a lower belt, you can either fight to the death, which is fine, and kind of join in their mayhem. And if you want to do that, that's okay. Or you can work your technique, right, and get dominated. So guy comes in, and he, you two are about the same level, but he's a lot stronger than you, and he's going crazy, and you just go, okay, you know what? I'm just going to work my technique the best I can, and I'm not going to escalate this. Mm-hmm. And you know what? You're going to get tapped out because you guys are at the same level, but he's using all of his strength, and you're not. Now you're going to get better at jiu-jitsu, but you're not going to notice that for a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So what happens? You get caught up in their ego trip and you start going just as hard as they're going, and that's the way it works. Now, if you can just say, you know what, I'm just going to keep relaxing with this guy, and eventually I'm going to learn more than him, and that will happen. You will learn more than the person that's going psycho, and then you can put them to tap. So, also as I was, Tim Ferriss sent some email out the other day, and it had a quote on there from Leo Tolstoy, and it said, everyone thinks of changing the world, but no one thinks of changing himself. Right? And I was like, that's interesting. And I immediately thought of jiu-jitsu, because I try and explain this concept to people in jiu-jitsu, and that is, when you're going, especially against someone that's bigger than you or stronger than you, or someone that's going crazy and they're using all of their muscles, the way this translates in jiu-jitsu is, in jiu-jitsu, everyone thinks of moving the other person, but what you need to focus on is moving yourself. Yeah. And there's some really clear examples of this, but this is just translates into life. It translates into life, this is what flanking is, right? If I come up against you and you got a big ego and you're not budging on anything, I'm not going to continue to attack that way. I'm not going to try and move you. I'm going to move myself into a better position. So I thought that was a good thing to think about when you're rolling with somebody that's big and going crazy.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good thing to think about all day, every day, about everything. Especially, people who are like, hey, oh man, I need a job. And that's, that's nothing. This is nothing new where it's, dang, I need a job. Dang, there's no jobs out here or whatever. And that's kind of an example of that, where don't look at it like a job needs to be presented to you, You have to kind of...
You need to maneuver.
Yeah, change yourself so, you can do the work that people need,
Concur. Don't move the world, move yourself. Don't try and move your opponent, move yourself.
Yeah. The guy, or drilling and sparring.
You were kind of trying to move me a lot yesterday, FYI.
Oh, I moved you a lot.
You were trying to move me a lot.
Whatever.
You were coming with a really aggressive methodology, I'll say.
Yeah. Default.
The default aggressive.
The drilling, in my experience, if you ask different people...
I thought you were getting frustrated.
I was.
And I saw, I was like, okay, he's getting frustrated. And I thought to myself, he's getting frustrated at me.
Yep.
And the reason I was like, I almost fell into your game psychologically, because as we're rolling and you're getting more and more frustrated, so you're being more aggressive. And it seemed to me, part of your frustration and your aggression was that I was not fully disengaging, but I was not getting into this game that you were in. Mm-hmm. And as I saw that you were going to keep coming with this, and I said, well, I don't want him to get frustrated, at me. So maybe I'll play this a little bit. And then I said, oh wait, I'm truly actually doing jiu-jitsu, right? Yep. I'm doing jiu-jitsu. I'm just straight doing jiu-jitsu. I'm totally not getting into this headbanging competition. No, I'm going to be over here.
Yep.
I'm going to be over here. So I thought that was...
Isn't that kind of not whack? It's actually really good how that worked, because if you remember, I kind of started to lose it mentally, not like temper wise or nothing, but like basically there's like a little small short list. I don't know if you know this. I've mentioned this, but not in this depth. There's a small list of things that I'm working on with you. There's like a small thing, like where if I can remember to do this, you know, because you're the kind where like to defend a certain thing, you got to focus really hard in defending it. But the drawback to that is when you start like really focusing on defending it, all it takes is one little, So there's like a few things that it's like, dang, it's like a balancing act. You know? I don't want to forget here. I don't want to forget here, you know? So it's like that. And a lot of times, and it's by my own evaluation. It's not based on like, it's in my own head. Like, okay, like I feel good about this is coming along, you know, kind of thing. And whether you notice this or not, towards the end, like it might, like it was just done, gone. My whole thing, it was just gone. Yeah, it was all just blind rage, I think.
And that's what I was truly thinking. Yeah. I was thinking he's getting mad at me, but I'm really doing actual like the purest form of jiu-jitsu, which is, hey, you keep coming with all that, and I'm just gonna keep adjusting and making other things happen that like you don't like.
It's like this cycle, you know.
Oh, that was fun.
But yeah, it was good though overall, thinking back. Yeah. The drilling, different people have different philosophies on drilling. Yeah. And because I mean, like surfing, you know, like okay, when you drill a move, it's like, hey, okay, do the armbar, you know, do the whole transition to the armbar, and you know, just drill that. When you first learn the armbar, it's gonna have more value because you have to just know the fundamental movements of the armbar. And just like how you said, like it's going to be different when you
do it live.
Yeah. So once you kind of get the fundamental movement of the armbar, your legs got to be here. They got to do this certain thing. Your arms position, his thumb, all that stuff. Once you kind of get that down, it's like then you step into the value being now you got to know when to do it, how to do it, you know.
I don't know if I've ever said this before on the podcast. I've said it when I teach jiu-jitsu, and this is something I say. Okay, there's, let's say, 10 things that you have to do right to make a move work. Okay? 10, you got to put your arms here, you got to put your hips here, you got to put your grip here, whatever those 10 things are that you got to do. I can teach you about 4 of them. Yeah. Okay? Maybe I can teach you 5. Maybe Jeff Glover or Dean or a good instructor can teach you 6 or 7, maybe even 8 of those components. There's 2 more components you're only going to figure out on your own. Yeah. You're only going to figure out where to distribute your weight by yourself. You're only going to distribute how to time what the execution of the move is by yourself. You're only going to figure out how to feel what the other person and when they're vulnerable to the move. You're only going to get those by doing it live. Only going to be getting it by doing it live. So those are the components. And there's more than 10 actually. There's probably 80
that's what I was
little components that you have to do. And what's cool is when you really focus on a particular move, you have all these components just lock solid. And when someone's really good at a certain move, they just like they've been in that situation so many times. Yeah. They've been in that situation so many times that it doesn't matter. You're doing something, they already thought of that. They've been in that position. Like there's a position in jiu-jitsu, for those of you that don't know, there's a position in jiu-jitsu called 50-50, which we originally called kakareko, which Dean kind of, I would say, started because he did it in ADCC in 2003. And it was a position that we were doing all the time at that time, but no one else was doing it. And now a bunch of people do it. Ryan Hall's made it famous, and he's the one, I think I don't know who coined the phrase 50-50, but he's got an academy called 50-50.
Yeah, been there. It's good.
Nice. So, but it's a position where you're fairly neutral. Your leg positions are neutral. So you have the same leg position. And so it's who knows the position better will win. And so this position that they call 50-50 now, which we used to call kakareko, it's actually, Dean calls it 90-10. Meaning, hey, I have a 90% chance here, you have a 10% chance, because I've spent months sitting in this position. So when you get someone that really knows a position well, that puts you at a massive disadvantage if you're going against them.
Yeah, because you guys both know the drilling part of it, but he knows the 1 million different other elements
things
in like surfing. When you first take surfing, they're like, hey, let's do it on the sand. when there's it's just that's basically drilling.
Oh yeah, you're drilling,
then,
standing up and paddling.
Then you got to go out to the actual waves, and man, the waves, that's it's different.
It's a little different.
Just way different.
And again, these principles from jiu-jitsu, they apply to everything that you're doing. And when you're going through a leadership situation, if you've seen it before, if you've seen this kind of person's attitude, like I just told that story about, hey, you'd see a guy that's learned something. The first way he learned it in the SEAL teams is the way he believes it should always be. Mm-hmm. Once I had experienced that, it was much easier for me to handle.
Yeah.
So anytime you can open up your mind and pay attention to what's going on around you, it's going to make you better at handling all these different situations that you come across in any environment. It's absolutely a leadership environment. You get the person with the giant ego. You get the person that wants to take over. You get the person that's scared to step up. You get all those things. You get someone that's being disrespectful. How are you going to, I've had that before. Let's just go, let me approach it. You know what I mean? So the more you get to handle these different positions, or the more you can research them and drill them, because the drilling does pay off. Yeah. That's what all this gathering of trying to gather knowledge from various books. And when you see something in a military situation, like I see all these things in a military situation, I go, oh, okay. Oh, I see what they did here. Oh, I see what Hackworth did here. I see what Patton did here. Now, I'm no Patton. I'm no Hackworth. But at least I have a heads up. Yeah. At least I've seen the scenario before. I've gone through a mental drill of how it got handled. Now, there's components that I need to figure out on my own. Yeah. But I've got the bulk of the move there. Yeah. I recognize what's happening. It puts me in a little better situation than having no idea what's happening and just getting flanked.
Potentially. Yeah.
Very potentially.
And the guy getting nuts, rolling, the spaz is the name for that guy, by the way. It's a spaz.
Yeah. White belt warrior.
Yeah, sure. There's that. I think that's overall just kind of part of the game. There's so many different ways to deal with. I mean, as a higher belt, I mean, you kind of, I don't think you have the curse of knowledge, but you've been a high belt for a long time. So
are you talking about me personally as an individual?
Yeah. So when you get a guy who's when you first start, my memories of first starting and going with big strong guys who are getting nuts, it is hard to deal with, man, straight up. So, and if you're smaller, it's even harder. And you could go, oh man, jiu-jitsu doesn't work, right? If you're a blue belt and you get if you're a 160 pound blue belt and a 300 or a 280 pound college wrestler comes in, and it's his first day, you're not going to be able to there's a very good chance you might be able to catch him. Yeah. But it's no guarantee. No, it's unlikely to. I mean, yeah, it's hardcore. Yeah. Yeah, and that's part. But you might be able to slap a little guillotine on. Yeah. Well, maybe a blue belt, maybe a little challenging. Purple belt, purple belt. Yeah, you start to different ball game. See the holes. Yeah. But those, and if you're, and I'm just completely speaking just from experience and thinking of it right now, but there are little things that you'll see come forward, like little tactics you can use to someone who's just bigger, stronger, and spazzing. Mm-hmm. Little tactics and not to say that you'll end up tapping them out or whatever, but certain things that will be successful in your situation. So all you do is you kind of remember those things, kind of work on that, and wait till you see the next little thing. Okay. Then after a while, as your game develops, it'll be like, oh shoot, you have this handful of things that works on these types of guys. Yeah. Glover. He does best against. He goes, guys that are big and strong are sort of his game matches really well against them, against Jeff. Yeah, because he's just so fluid. Yeah. So. Yeah. All right.